Somewhere beneath the Strait of Hormuz, buried in silt on the sea floor, sits a steel cylinder roughly 3 feet long. No radar sees it. No satellite detects it. It emits no signal, generates no heat, makes no sound. It waits. Inside that cylinder, a hydrophone sensor listening for the acoustic signature of a propeller. When a ship, any ship, passes within activation range, the sensor classifies the signal. And in less than 2 seconds, a solid-fuel rocket motor fires a 308-pound warhead upward through the water column at 260 feet per second, punching through the hull from directly below. That is the EM-52. China designed it, Iran bought it, and right now, it sits beneath the strait that carries 20% of the world's crude oil. But the EM-52 is not the only threat in the water. Iran maintains an estimated 5,000 to 6,000 naval mines, the largest mine inventory in the region. Moored mines, bottom mines, drifting mines, influence mines. Some cost less than $1,500 each, cheaper than a used jet ski. In 1988, exactly one M08 mine, the predecessor to the Sadaf-02 that Iran now manufactures domestically, detonated beneath the frigate USS Samuel B. Roberts. The mine cost $1,500. The explosion ripped a hole 15 to 25 feet wide through the hull, broke the keel, and drowned 2 engine rooms in seawater before the crew could react. 10 sailors were wounded. 4 suffered burns severe enough to be evacuated to a military hospital in Germany. It took 13 months and $89.5 million to rebuild the ship. A weapon that cost less than a jet ski nearly sent a warship to the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Now imagine that mine beneath a supertanker carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil. The math gets considerably worse. The United States Navy possesses technology that no other navy on Earth has. Airborne laser mine detection from helicopters, unmanned robot surface vessels hunting with sonar, and precision kill drones that destroy mines one by one, all operated remotely. Not a single sailor enters the water. So why is Hormuz still closed? Why are the mines still there? Not because the Navy cannot clear them. Because the Navy is solving an equation with 3 variables, and until all 3 converge, the mines stay exactly where they are. If that equation interests you, subscribe to Navy Decoded. We do not clear headlines, we clear minefields. To understand why the world's most advanced mine hunting technology sits unused while Hormuz bleeds the global economy, we first need to understand the weapon it was built to defeat. Because naval mines are not just old, they are perfect. Naval mines operate on a principle that makes them fundamentally different from every other weapon in modern warfare. They are passive. A cruise missile broadcasts a radar return, a drone emits heat, a submarine generates acoustic noise. But a mine on the seafloor emits nothing. No signal, no energy. It is invisible to every active detection system a warship carries, because there is nothing to detect. The ultimate set-and-forget weapon. And the cost arithmetic is devastating. One M08 contact mine, $1,500. One Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, $2 billion. A cost exchange ratio of 1 to 1.3 million. No weapon in the history of warfare offers that asymmetry. A piece of steel with an explosive charge, invented during the American Civil War, still owns the most lopsided cost ratio in modern combat. Now look at the geography. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 nautical miles wide, but the traffic separation scheme divides it into 2 navigable lanes. 2 nautical miles inbound, 2 nautical miles outbound, separated by a 2 nautical mile buffer. 6 nautical miles total. Iran does not need to mine the entire strait. Iran needs to mine a ribbon, 2 nautical miles across. And here's the final variable that makes mines uniquely dangerous. They are an insurance weapon. One tanker strikes a mine, the hull breaches. 2 million barrels of crude oil burn in the shipping corridor. Lloyd's of London revokes war risk coverage for the strait. Every tanker operator on Earth pulls their vessels. Hormuz does not close by military force. It closes by market force. The mine does not sink a fleet. The mine sinks an insurance policy. And the strait closes not by fire, but by fear. Fear only needs one example. Iran has deployed 3 types of mines at Hormuz. Each solves a different problem. Each requires a different solution. The first is the contact mine, the Sadaf-02, Iran's copy of the Soviet M08. a steel sphere packed with over 100 kilograms of explosive tethered to an anchor floating just below the surface. When a hull touches its protruding horns, the fuse fires. The same weapon that nearly sank the USS Samuel B. Roberts, unchanged in 40 years. It does not need to change. The second is the bottom influence mine. It sits on the seafloor and detonates without contact. 3 sensors, a magnetometer detecting a steel hull's magnetic field, a hydrophone listening for propeller noise, and a pressure sensor measuring the displacement of a passing vessel. Programmable to fire only when all 3 signatures match a large ship, filtering out small craft, waiting for the high-value target. Patient, selective, smart. The third, the EM-52 we described, is the most dangerous. A rocket-propelled rising mine that hunts upward at 260 feet per second. You cannot armor against a weapon that attacks from underneath at rocket speed, and you cannot detect it until it fires. Contact mines that kill on touch, influence mines that kill on signature, rising mines that kill on rocket power. 5,000 to 6,000 of them. And every navy in the world still clears them the old way. Divers in the water, fiberglass ships in the minefield. The United States Navy decided to build something different. Instead of sending sailors into the minefield, the Navy engineered 4 unmanned systems, each solving one step of the clearance problem, designed to detect, hunt, trick, and destroy mines without a single human being in the water. No other fleet has anything like it. For most of naval history, mine clearance has been the most dangerous job in any fleet. Traditional minesweeping requires purpose-built vessels with wooden or fiberglass hulls, because a steel hull generates the same magnetic signature that triggers influence mines. Aboard those ships, explosive ordnance disposal divers suit up, enter the water, swim into a live minefield, locate a mine by hand or by handheld sonar, attach a demolition charge, swim away, and detonate. One mine at a time. In water, they cannot see through. Next to a weapon designed to kill whatever comes near it. Every major navy on Earth still operates this way. Japan, South Korea, France, the Royal Navy, divers in the water, fiberglass ships in the minefield, human beings, solving the equation with their bodies. The United States Navy made a decision. Build a system where no sailor ever has to enter a minefield again. And they built 4 systems, each solving one step of the mine clearance problem that can operate entirely without a human being in the water. The system is called ALMDS, AN/AES-1, built by Northrop Grumman and mounted in a pod beneath an MH-60S Seahawk helicopter. The system fires pulses of laser light, LiDAR, light detection and ranging, downward into the water. The laser penetrates the surface and reflects off objects in the near-surface water column. A streak tube receiver captures the reflected photons and processes them into a 3-dimensional map of everything beneath the surface, including mines. The computer processes thousands of returns per second, building a volumetric image of the water as the helicopter flies, day or night, without hovering, without putting anything in the water. Think of it as a CT scan for a strait. The helicopter flies overhead, and the laser maps every mine-shaped object in the water column, without touching the surface. But a CT scan only shows you where the problem is. It does not fix it. And there is a second problem. Laser light does not reach the seafloor. Moored mines near the surface, found. But bottom mines sitting in the mud 40 feet down, the laser cannot see them. For those, you need a different tool. ALMDS finds mines near the surface, but bottom mines, sitting on the seafloor where laser light cannot reach, require sonar. The AN/AQS-20C mine hunting sonar is towed by the Common Unmanned Surface Vehicle, built by Textron. The CUSV is an unmanned boat, no crew, controlled by a single operator aboard an LCS at a safe distance. It enters the minefield alone, towing the sonar body on a cable. Side scan mode paints a wide image of the seafloor. Forward look mode projects ahead. Signal processing algorithms distinguish mines from rocks and coral by shape, size, and acoustic reflectivity. The CUSV operates for 20 or more hours continuously. No human maintains that focus. No human sits inside. The LCS never enters the minefield. Finding mines is not enough. Influence mines, the smart ones, need to be tricked into detonating. The Navy's answer is the unmanned influence sweep system. The CUSV tows a magnetic sweep cable and an acoustic generator. Together, they simulate the signature of a supertanker displacing 300,000 tons. Magnetic field, propeller noise, hull cavitation. The influence mine on the seafloor detects the signal. Its 3 triggers align. The mine detonates. But there is no ship. Nothing above it except a cable and a sound generator towed by a robot boat. The mine destroys itself against a target that does not exist. The reverse mousetrap. The robot lures the mine into self-destruction. Every influence mine that fires is one fewer in the water. Unlike a diver, the UISS sweeps the same corridor repeatedly without risk. AN/ASQ-235. Built by RTX. Deployed from the same MH-60S Seahawk that carries the laser. For the mine that refuses to fire against a decoy, the Navy sends Archer Fish. A small, expendable underwater drone, lowered on a fiber optic cable. It carries sonar, camera, and light. The operator in the helicopter sees real-time video. The drone swims to the mine. Camera confirms target. The operator presses a button. A shaped charge detonates, directing explosive energy in a focused jet that destroys the mine. 1 mine killed. Deploy another Archer Fish. Repeat. No diver, no risk. 1 operator, 1 button, 4 systems, 4 steps. Find with laser, scan with robot sonar, detonate with acoustic decoy, kill with precision drone. The entire mine clearance chain, from detection to destruction, can be executed without a single sailor in the water. No other Navy on Earth possesses all 4 capabilities integrated into one deployable package. So the technology works, the systems are built, the capability is proven. And here is where every other channel would end this video. But this is Navy Decoded, and the real question is not how the Navy clears mines. The real question is why they have not done it yet. The answer involves 3 variables that most analysts miss entirely. If the technology exists, if the laser flies, the robot scans, the decoy detonates, and the drone kills, then why are the mines still there? Why is Hormuz still closed? Why are 150 tankers anchored outside the strait, hemorrhaging fuel costs, while the world's most advanced mine hunting systems sit on the decks of ships that have not entered the minefield? Because the Navy does not solve headlines. The Navy solves equations. And this equation has 3 variables that must converge before the solution is optimal. If you sweep mines while Iran is still manufacturing and laying new ones, you are mopping a floor while the faucet is running. You clear 100, they lay 200. The corridor never opens, the operation never ends. So the Navy shut off the faucet first. Operation Epic Fury has destroyed 26 Iranian mine-laying vessels, 16 intercepted at sea, and 10 more destroyed at their berths. 90 or more Iranian naval vessels total have been destroyed or disabled. Mine storage facilities on Karg Island, obliterated on March 13th. Mine production facilities deep inside Iran, struck by the bomber force. CENTCOM confirmed continued strikes against mine depots and manufacturing sites. The result? The mines currently on the sea floor of the Strait of Hormuz are the last mines Iran will ever deploy. Every mine cleared is one that will never be replaced. No new mines are being manufactured, no ships exist to lay them, no storage depots hold reserves. The faucet is shut, the floor is ready to be mopped. The LCS mine countermeasure ships, USS Tulsa, USS Santa Barbara, carry the most advanced mine hunting technology in the world. But they do not carry significant weapons for self-defense. An LCS in a minefield is focused entirely on sweeping. It is slow, it is predictable, it is vulnerable to the exact threats that still exist at Hormuz. Mobile anti-ship missile launchers hidden in mountain tunnels, remaining fast attack craft staged in coastal coves, and Ghadir-class midget submarines lurking in shallow water. Sweeping mines requires a protective bubble. Fighter aircraft overhead, destroyers screening the flanks, Marines providing close-in surface defense. That bubble has a name. It is called the USS Tripoli, LHA-7, carrying up to 20 F-35B stealth fighters and 2,500 Marines of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. As we explained in our previous breakdown, Tripoli is the answer to the 10% problem that carriers cannot solve from standoff range. Tripoli departed the Western Pacific and is currently transiting at high speed toward the Middle East. Estimated arrival, roughly 10 days. Mine clearance does not begin until the protective bubble is in position, not before. This is the variable most people miss. Hormuz is not sealed. A handful of ships still transit on any given day, down from the normal average of 77. But the mines do not check the nationality of the ship passing overhead. The same mines that terrorize commercial tankers also terrorize Iranian oil exports. Iran normally exports 1.4 million barrels per day, nearly all through Hormuz. Since the mines went down, Iranian crude loadings at Karg have collapsed. Tanker operators will not send vessels into a strait where the insurance premium alone exceeds the profit margin of the cargo. Iran built a weapon to close the strait to everyone else. It closed the strait to Iran. The mines are an economic siege, and they are working for the Navy without a single additional shot fired. Every day the mines sit on the sea floor, Iran hemorrhages revenue it will never recover. When the three variables converge, the faucet is shut, the roof is in place, and the economic pressure has reached maximum effect, the Navy will clear the Strait of Hormuz. With laser, with robot, with drone, on American terms, at American timing. Not because anyone demanded it, because the equation reached its optimum. If this breakdown changed how you understand what is happening at Hormuz, subscribe to Navy Decoded, because here is how the story ends. The EM-52 still sits on the floor of the Strait of Hormuz. It still waits, still listens, still ready to fire its rocket upward at 260 feet per second into the hull of whatever passes above. 38 years ago, a $1,500 mine tore through the hull of the USS Samuel B. Roberts, broke its keel, and wounded 10 sailors. The Navy looked at that equation and made a decision. Never again. Never again would sailors have to solve the cheapest weapon in warfare with the most expensive asset the Navy possesses: human life. Instead, laser from the sky, robot sonar beneath the surface, acoustic decoys that lure mines into self-destruction, precision drones that kill with shaped charges. 4 systems, 4 steps, 0 sailors required in the water. And when? When the faucet is shut, and it is. When the roof arrives, and it is coming. When the equation is optimal, and every day the mines sit there, Iran bleeds another 1.4 million barrels it will never recover. Naval mines are the cheapest, oldest, and most dangerous weapon in maritime warfare. A $1,500 mine can close a strait through which 20% of the world's oil flows. But every mine fires only once. And when the factory that built it is ash, the last mine on the floor of Hormuz is the last mine Iran will ever have.